leadership is something we kind of learn by default. You know, it might be somebody yelling at us, it might be somebody threatening our job or whatever the case is, or it might be an authority figure, or it's something we kind of learn by default. And most of the things that we learn have nothing to do with what we teach here at M3 Mastermind and the real power behind leadership, because people don't follow other people because they have to. And if they do, they don't do it very enthusiastically and they don't do it for long. They follow other people in whatever endeavor it is that we're choosing to do, by the way. It doesn't matter if you're a coach, a soccer coach, if you're a community leader. We all have leadership roles to play in anything that we're doing. It doesn't matter, we fall into leader and follower, but it's the same thing. A good leader gets other people to follow them because they want to, because there's a connection being made there that we're going to talk about, and it's not the connection at our conscious mind. It's not being told to do something. It's because you're actually connecting with something that the other people want, and being in align with what the other people want, and that being in line with what you want is what brings the whole group together. Everybody's on the same wavelength. Everybody's in the same vibration. And that's what real leadership is. And this can actually be applied anywhere in your life. It can be applied in the form of family too, because as dad, I'm leader. It's the same thing. And my kids aren't going to do what it is that I tell them to do for too long. That can be a hard thing. We've all got stories about that. But when I can find what it is that my child really wants, there you go, Linda. When I can find what my child or my family as a group really wants, that's something that they feel, and you can connect with that. That's when you can drop into that role as leadership, as a leader, and be really effective. And make no mistake about it, whatever is going on in any particular thing, whether you're a follower or leader in the thing, the leader is always the most important person. They're the one that's guiding and setting the precedent. So, leadership, broadly speaking, this is Napoleon Hill who said this. And he says this in Think and Grow Rich. He says, there are two types of people in the world. There are leaders and there are followers. You have to decide at the outset of whatever endeavor you're taking on, whether you intend to become a leader in your chosen calling or to remain a follower. Now, this is important. The difference in compensation is vast. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they should be compensated the same as a leader, and that's not true. It's not until a person steps into a leadership role and actually steps into a leadership role in a big way that they are entitled to that compensation. And think about why that's so important, because you as yourself can only achieve so much. If you want to go out and grow a business or do something um, of your own hand, you can only do so much. It's not until we can tap into leadership that we can get into the infinite. That's when we can really take, and you don't have to do all the tasks that we've all got 24 hours in every day. So all the tasks that may be necessary for you to achieve a big ideal are not going to be done 100% by you. If you're choosing that they be done 100% by you, you're always going to hit a ceiling. So that's why this lesson is considered a big quantum leap producer. This is where, when people learn to do this, that their lives and their businesses or whatever they're trying to do really blow up. If you're in the MLM space, you understand that in a big way. It's not until we're able to learn how to connect with people in a very powerful way that we're able to blow those businesses up. So the follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled. Although many followers make the mistake of expecting such pay, and it just leads to confusion and frustration for those that do expect that don't understand this. I've got a lot of quotes here, and the reason I've got a lot of quotes is because they're coming from great leaders. And those great leaders say things that are in align with this, things that, unless you understand this, you really don't even understand what these great leaders were trying to share. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Can you guys go ahead and just hit your mute button? Just go ahead and tap that mute since we're back on here. I got a little bit of a nervousness here now. And if I go over there to try to mute you, then I might kick everybody off again. Give up on this awesome lesson. Every business and every organization, from the smallest to the largest, needs a leader. Earl Nightingale said that. And he was the one who started the self-help industry, or um, what do you call it? Well, you can call it self-help, but motivation, inspiration industry with Nightingale Conant. He started the whole industry as we know it. What you know to be Tony Robbins and to be Jay Shetty, I think, and whoever you want to say, Bob Proctor, who's my mentor, they all came from Earl Nightingale and Vic Conant. Leadership isn't about the direction of people. That's important to understand, because we think that we need to direct people, but if they don't know what to do when they get there, then what's the point of it? You can stick them to you can direct them to the spot or the thing that they need to do, but if they haven't been developed, if what they need to know about themselves and what they need to do and the belief in themselves to do that hasn't been handled, then it doesn't matter. The leadership isn't about the direction of people, it's about the development of people. This gets a little crazy for some people when you talk to people about this. We've heard about suppression and stuff. Well, I don't want to teach somebody else how to do what it is that I know how to do, or how to teach them too much, because then they might surpass me. That's false. That's really false thinking, and that's something that needs to be kicked out of there, because if somebody has inside of themselves, they already have a belief that's going to take them to the top, then they're going to go to the top anyway. Even if they don't know how to use these rules that we're talking about, if they're using them, they can't articulate how to use them, but they're still using them, they're still going to go to the top. So what kind of position, when you think about people like that naturally stuff like that's going to happen, what kind of position do you want to be in with that person? You don't want that person to think you were trying to keep them down or keep them suppressed. That's not true, because that person is naturally going to rise to the top. And if you were sending out that increase and helping that person along their way, then when they're going up, they're naturally going to pull you up too. So there's no lack in this. There's no need to think about lack. When you see a shining quality in somebody, the greatest thing that you can ever do is to pull it out, to bring it out and bring it out further in that person. So a leader has a clear, passionate vision. You have to have a clear vision, because you can't communicate that vision to somebody unless you've got it clear inside of you too. And then by having that vision, by feeling that inside, always feeling that, you're able to naturally surround yourself with the people that believe in that vision. Remember, we talked about this. This isn't a connection at the conscious mind. This isn't words. This is a feeling. People follow and follow passionately because of a feeling. And the leader first must have that feeling clear inside of themselves. And here's the thing about that. It's so important. A lot of times when you have that vision inside of yourself, sometimes as that vision is growing, it's hard to articulate. It's hard to share, but you know that you're being guided. A lot of times the leader is a lonely place, because he's not sure exactly where he's finding his way through certain places, but he's got his vision on the main goal. He's got that clear inside of him, and that a lot of times is a lonely place, and that vision has to be strong, because there's times you will walk as a leader and you will feel as that you're the only one walking there for a while. Some people closest to you sometimes will not understand, and they'll want to turn away before they come back. You have to have a strong vision for what you're doing to keep yourself on that path. Passionate followers follow because they want to, not because they have to. And remember this is important. We're running from the subconscious. We're habit forming machines. We don't drive our car the same way we drove our car the first day, and we don't speak our name the first way we tried to speak our name when we came into this world. We form the habit of learning how to do things so that we don't have to think and devote all that conscious thought to that anymore. It allows us to be very efficient with our life. But what that ultimately ends up doing is that 96 to 98% of your day is running from habit, belief, subconscious. So in order to lead, we've got to learn how to connect there. Amy's back. So this is our stick man, and you just saw him on the last slide. This is the representation for those of you coming on here. We just talked about this if you missed it in the beginning. When you think about your mind, you don't have any cells of recognition for the mind. And that's why once our mind reaches a certain point, it's kind of set. It's hard to change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You heard that one, right? There's a reason for that. Is because we don't have anything that says, well, this is my mind, this is what it looks like, and this is what it's running like when it's running good, and this is what it's running like when it's running bad. And even if you think that your brain is your mind, what does your brain look like when it's running the way you want it to? And what does your brain look like when it's running the way that you don't want it to? You don't have any cells of recognition for that. So what we teach in coaching, this came all the way back from a doctor in San Antonio, Texas, all the way back in 1923. He realized that what was happening with people um, was showing up in the form of a symptom. And everything that was being treated was a symptom, and it was all just Band-Aids. And they couldn't treat the root cause of what was going on because the root cause was stemming from inside. It was coming from what we call mind. Mind is so vast. We can't see it, and you're never going to be able to see it because it's an activity. But we have to have something to see it. And that's what this picture came from. This picture, this little stick man that looks so funny, is actually a representation of your mind. And once you understand what it is, you can see whether or not a thought, a positive thought, is coming into your conscious mind and then becoming a feeling that is seeped down into your subconscious mind, which causes your body to take action. Body is just doing what the mind tells it to do. That's all. And that's, you can actually think of the body and the whole world as one, because your body is going out into the world and it's taking an action, pushing up against the world, and you're getting a reaction, and that's what we call our results. That's the way that it works. But it all begins, everything begins in the mind. Why is leadership so important in understanding this? Because leadership is not a connection at the thinking mind. And in order to be a good leader, you must first understand what it is that you're wanting to accomplish and what it feels like and the great things that are coming from that and how that connects to other people. And that's an emotional state. We need to let go of that. We're going to be telling people. We have to tell them what to do. You have to connect at the subconscious, and you have to learn to convey a feeling. That is the most important thing that you're going to learn about leadership, is how to connect what we call heart to heart with people. I just had this conversation. You know exactly when you make a subconscious connect with somebody. If you've ever been telling somebody something and you felt them tune into you, their eyes open up wide and they just listen, like they're all open. What you're doing at that point, you're literally shutting down the conscious mind. You're taking it out of the way, and that person is opening up in a feeling way, and they're connecting with you emotionally. And that's what the key, that is the true nature of being able to connect and lead. It's always about the feeling. So remember this, it's important. People say, I'm going to go out there and scream and yell and get everybody to do the right thing. It doesn't work that way. You don't raise morale, out in those that you're leading. Attitude, the vibration that we have, always filters down from the top. You don't raise morale, contrary to what people think. Morale filters down from the top. So we were talking about that. That's why attitude leads into this so well. If you're maintaining thoughts that are in the opposite direction and feelings that are in the opposite directions of what it is that you truly, truly want, then it doesn't matter what you go out and say. You're going to convey those feelings ultimately. And ultimately, we know just exactly what you said. 96 to 98% of what you're doing is going to be coming from that feeling side of you, subconscious. You're going to be pushing whatever it is that you want away. So that's the whole point of it. The goal of most leaders, this is the difference in what we're talking about when you don't understand leadership and why so many people hit the glass ceiling when they do step into a leadership role. The goal of most leaders is to get the people to think highly of them as a leader. But the goal of the exceptional leader is to get the people to think highly of themselves. So most great leaders begin in the capacity as followers. There's no shame in being a follower. We're actually playing both roles all the time. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, there's somebody that you can follow. And by the way, it doesn't it like I said, I've got Think and Grow Rich right here. I've got Neville Goddard here. And both of those guys wrote those books a long time ago and they have since passed. They don't have to be somebody that you can see, touch, and feel. You know, they can be somebody that you know either maybe through a book or somebody that you've just known in your life, that's been a big part of your life. You can literally draw from that as a follower and then take that and use that to strengthen your leadership. So most great leaders begin in the capacity of followers. They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the person who cannot follow a leader intelligently cannot take direction. They cannot become an efficient leader. So it's very important that we don't say that I'm never going to follow again. You're going to continue to follow for the rest of your life. There's always somebody out there that knows more than you and how to do something better than you in any given field. And they're going to be somebody that you're going to intelligently follow so that you can learn to lead in that capacity if you should choose to do so. But ask yourself a few questions this week. Are you a good leader? And one of the greatest ways of answering that question is can you lead yourself? Discipline is another word that we throw around a lot. And we can even say discipline, we think of it in the form of punishment, but it's not. Discipline is a misunderstood word in a big way. Discipline is just the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. That's all. And so when you ask yourself, am I a good leader and can I lead myself? Take a look at what you're doing and whether or not you're actually following out what it is that you're telling yourself to do. And if the answer is no, it's okay. Remember, we view all these things from that point of view that the programming is over here, you are over here. God didn't mess up when he made you. You're perfect already. What's happening is that perfection is seeking expression through that programming. So you can just look at that programming indifferently and just say, yeah, I see that I do that, and so now what? Well, I want to change that. I want to give myself a command, something as simple as I'm going to get out of bed at this particular time every day, and then just begin to follow that. And then begin to roll that into something else and the next thing that you want to do and the next thing that you want to do. And that's exactly how it works. That's how you grow yourself in being confident and saying that, yeah, I can give myself a command and I can follow it. Ask yourself, where are you leading yourself? And then ask yourself if you're following anybody and are you an intelligent follower? This week, here's our action steps. If you guys want to take any screenshots, they're right here, right now. When you think of yourself as a follower, ask yourself, who are you following right now? And what are the qualities and characteristics of this leader you want to emulate? What action steps can you take this week to embrace these characteristics? I'm speaking this week in another company, and I like to watch other speakers and how they're very effective at being able to connect with an audience. It's one thing to learn to connect with just one person, and it's another thing to learn how to connect with the whole audience. And that's a powerful, powerful tool. And so I'm following certain speakers and taking from that things that I want to use to make myself a more effective speaker. What action steps can you take this week to embrace these characteristics? And 4, how can you be a better follower? And 5, what action steps can you take to prepare you to be a leader? The flip side of this is, when you think of yourself as a leader, how would you describe yourself as a leader? And remember, just let it out. It's not who you are, it's something that you're doing. And then once you look at it, you can say, well, I want to change that. You can actually get it out there. If we don't get it out there, we can't address it and begin to change it. How would you describe your attitude? Is your attitude positive all the time? You have an attitude based on circumstances, which is if things are going good in the world, then I'm doing good things and I'm taking good action. But when things go bad, then I get negative. And then I take no action, or I take the wrong action, or I start repelling my goal by having thoughts that this isn't possible. That's an attitude based on circumstances, or is your attitude based on understanding, which says that I'm going to maintain a positive attitude no matter what? I'm only going to think positive thoughts. By the way, anybody on here that can come up with a reason, a positive reason for looking at things negatively, shout them out. Because it never serves. It just puts you into a negative vibration, and it starts bringing to you all the negative things that can happen to you, and it conditions you to receive them. So attitude is all important when it comes to being a leader. Is your attitude regardless of what's going on outside of you? What are you creating right now as a leader? What's the vision you have for your team, your department, your organization? And I should put it in on this slide. You know, if it's a family thing, uh, we're all leaders in one way, shape, or another in some facet in our family. What's your plan to move towards this vision? How are you developing the people around you? Not directing. How are you developing those people? A leader seeks to find strength in others and then seeks to find situations that draw that strength out. It's very powerful. We don't like to be told so much what to do. We like to find out. We like to discover it on our own. And that's so much more powerful when somebody comes up and says, I can do this. I'm capable of this. I did this. Versus somebody telling them, go do this. Go do this. What action steps can you take to be an even more effective leader? And how can you do more than what you're being paid for? What would that look like? That's kind of a funny question, isn't it? I'm going to skip to the last quote right here. And I just typed this one out because I've heard it so much in the coaching space. If you never do more than you're being paid for, then you'll never be paid more for what you're doing. If you never do more than you're being paid for, then you'll never be paid more for what you're doing. That's pretty powerful, right? You have to prime the pump, as Zig Ziglar said. You've got to put something in. You've got to give, and you've got to put that out there in the right way, in a powerful way for it to come back to you. We can't expect the world to give us something for nothing. That's not real. That is it for leadership, you guys. That is it. That is the end of the lesson. Next week, we're going to focus on the impression of increase. We're working with an absolute law here. It's cause and effect. And we think that we're going out there in the world and getting what we're getting in a giving, receiving fashion. That if I just force this thing by giving here, then I will get from there. And that's not the way that it truly works. The way that it truly works is to learn to send out increase all over so that you have no idea where your success is coming from, but it's coming from all over. You send it out all over. Everybody you meet, everything that you do, you're sending out increase everywhere. And your goal, whatever it is that you're wanting to do in your life, is showing up in sometimes the most amazing places. You get to walk around after this lesson and you understand how to apply this lesson in your life and say all the time, you'll never believe what happened to me today. Learn how to apply increase in your life so you can stop receiving through what we call the keyhole, and you can open the door to success all around you. Next week, impression of increase.
Right on.
Questions or takeaways? I think we still made the half-hour mark with all my technical difficulties. I'll ask to unmute.
It was great. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much, Amy. I heard you. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you hopped on, and this is recorded. I will send this out to you as soon as I get this back up. Remember, guys, that the culture that we're creating here is a culture of, it's just comfortable. We're not here. Most of the world, the reason M3 Mastermind exists is me as a leader, and I'll share this with you, is because my feeling is that whatever it is that you're wanting to do in the world, most of the world is going, especially when it's the thing that you don't know how to do, but you really want it. It's big. Most of the world is going to line up to tell you why that can't be done. And M3, the culture is that we're here to talk about exactly what you want to do, what you feel inside. And then this is the place where we're here to say that's possible for you because you're capable of anything. So anything that you want to share, anytime you guys want to chime in, I like to open it up in that way that it's a safe place for us to share this, at least for this 1/2 hour, for a week, you have a place where you can really just let it fly.
I just hope I become successful so I can have a yard as beautiful as yours in the background.
Right? Where are you? I'm gonna say the same thing.
You know what? Eric was talking to me about that. I go, oh, hey, you know what? It's going to look like I'm on the other side of the planet. The sun's out back here.
Did Jennifer take you to the Azores for vacation or what?
Exactly. We're right. We're up there at the top where the volcano is. That's where I put my office and my little.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Jason.
Matt.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for hopping on. I'll see you next week.
See you Thursday.